Okay. Um, I've been making a lot of videos, knowing that my mind, my memories, my thoughts will never be the same. They will always be changed and manipulated, and they've been manipulated for a while. And I'd like to go back into the things that manipulated earlier, and at this point, it is ingrained as if it's actual reality. It changes. So let me just introduce myself as I should. I'm what you call a TI, but not only I'm a TI, I'm a TI who's experiencing V2K and synthetic telepathy. Those are the technology that a lot of target individual experience, and this technology when things changes. Your memories, your thoughts, your perceptions, your dreams, your reactions, your everything like psychologically, mentally, things are just rewired in different ways, including reality and memories. And so you get into like mental battles where you can feel something just being changed. I've made a lot of videos addressing the memory manipulation. They've been doing a lot of that. It's just like restructuring things, moving things around. And as they happen, I always call them out because I know it's like, like when they try to play things around in a different ways, I always been trying to like call that, okay, they're changing this, they're doing this didn't exist, this wasn't, that's not how I reacted to this, or they're moving this there. Like in all mentally have those things changing, using this technology that can just manufacture memories and create and change timelines of memories, do things around, and they work on what can be created to paint you as something you're not, and it's nasty, and it's so pathetic, and it's so pathetic, because then you hear what you call the perps. Perps are contracted bottom feeders, the government contract, and they try to get you to accept this false reality, this false memory, these manipulations of some kind of memories. And they've been doing things to try to counter reality and changing things around. And because the persona they try to paint you as is not it's a falsified persona. So they're gonna try to erase the reality of things and create a new version. That's been the theme of what they do, to me at least. Other target individuals talk about how they can manipulate memories, implant information in your brain as if that was real memories, and then bring it up and present it as the real memory. You hear that, and this is all different type. And sometimes it's just like you're just desperate because with me, one thing they've been trying to make me accept, one thing they've been doing to me is try to make me be something I'm not, somebody I'm not. They like the pedophilia type of tormenting is like the things they do, and then they want you to be like, no, it's you. We find this and that, and the things that they do is just manipulated and created. Because what's happening today is you get all different reactions and perceptions. They are very pedophilia centric. When in reality, they are the one manipulating this and want you to accept these things. Now, they don't like when you humiliate them by showing how obvious and how falsified this reality they put together and what they try to counter. They call, oh, you provoking. You're provoking us. For example, one thing I'm going to bring up is something they really hate. They truly hate that. I mean, truly hate. Because it 100% showed the falsification of reality that they created. They hate the reality of that because it's so bluntly obvious that it would take 2 seconds if, because initially they go through your brain, they go through everything, your memories and everything else, and then that's the initial start. So right now they like to say, oh, we mapped it, when in reality is initially they map your brain so they can manipulate your brain. So the initial start is mapping you so they can start playing and manipulate things around and change things and change and plan things. Right? So today is no more mapping, today is manipulations. And that's what they do. One thing they hate is something they detest the most. Because right now they tell me and they're warning me how they're gonna frame me. Right? They're gonna frame me. I can hear this childlike individual saying, oh, we made love, we did, like she's saying some disgusting things. And she sounds like a child, like an early teenager child saying that. And I hear her talk via V2K. V2K is the voice to skull technology where you as a target individual can literally hear those perps interacting with you directly to your brain. And I hear some childlike individuals talking to me, and I do believe they're actually childlike individuals interacting with me, because the sophistication of this technology is so easy to use that children can be involved. And so I hear this trash, well, which I call a trash, but it's actually a child. It's like, no, we made love. It's like so nasty. And so I can only imagine what the future holds for somebody that young already involved in doing foul things like that. And they like to just change subject. Oh, you're gonna be screaming. It's like, yeah, I'll be screaming, and this child or whatever she is gonna live a happy life. Anyways, I'm all for them selling their kids this way. Things like that don't come back in a good way. But they have to block it out. You know, there's beneficials, and there's incentives. There's benefits. That's who knows. But for them to sell their kids and have kids to do that, whoever is the parent is so sad. It's so pathetic. Because if you're a father or your mother and you're like, oh, let me use my child to create this frame. We're gonna frame and pretend that this person did something to my child. What kind of parent does he make? And they try to block that out, which is good for them. Trash people are trash people. And sometimes it's humiliating. When like, for example, there's a woman next door who I think it might be somebody of her in her family member might be doing that. I don't know. In regard of the frame, right? I'm not sure, but when I see her, it's like, this. If it's you, man, it's so sad. You're pathetic. But I'm not here. I'm all for them living this, humiliating life. I'm all for it. Like I look forward to seeing who's gonna be this this child that is gonna say something about me doing. Like I'm looking forward to see that person, because it's not gonna be well. Things are not gonna be well for her in the future, for sure. And as I'm saying that, they're even making noise campaign, because it's true. Things are not going to be good for if you're a 14-year-old or 13-year-old, whatever age you say, and at that age you already talk about framing people and say that they did these things to you and this is a frame. Like, come on, it doesn't take profit to figure that out. That's things for people involved in this kind of things that young. Usually things end up in certain ways. As I'm saying that, matter of fact, there's a neighbor who's trying to make noise campaign. Like reality, there's something they try to block. So for this childlike trash who says to frame me, she says something about, oh, we're gonna make love to me. And what she's trying to address is some changes that they've played in my memories. So this is something they hate. What they hate the most is when I was in my later teen, and in my later teen, I'm talking about 16, 17, something happened in my life where I was somewhat, I had some things happen in my life with somebody who's older person, a person 10 years older than me. Obviously I was like a late teenager boy, and I had like a little something with an older woman who's 10 years older than me. And that's something that I've thought about a lot the rest of my my late teens and young adulthood. A lot. It's something that really was just an impact in my life. And so these people who initially go through your brain this way is obviously seen that. Now, what I'm saying is the opposite of what they want to portray me as. So they're trying to erase this reality of this moment in my late teens, or late teens, 16 to early adulthood, remembering these moments, thinking about different scenarios of these moments happening, and even saying the name of this person that impacted me this way. Sometimes it's just like she was so much in my mind that it's time to erase that. And this child, like individual, says something. Oh, we made love. It's so disgusting, and then made me imagine doing something with this kid. Ugh, so disturbing. But this is good for this bottom feeder. I just wish, and I mean that in the very mean-spirited way, that she continue to live like that. But what she's trying to do is bring me back to before my mid-teens, like early teens, just turned teenager, early teens, maybe like 15, but something like that, between 13, just turned 13, actually between 12 and 15 maybe. I remember when I was a kid at that age and kind of discovering myself, thinking about the sexual moments during those time. And I remember those two sexual moments, and I will think back of them in those days because I was kind of, that's the age when you kind of discover yourself in these ways. And so I will imagine those moments in different settings, like, oh, if I was naked, and it's so like childlike thing, and I'll relive those moments in a different version, right? Imagine, okay, me and this person, and for example, would be one when I remember when I played mom and dad when I was just like 10 years old, or somebody was like a year younger than me would play mom and dad. You know how kids are that age. We like do a little humping and whatever. But now, as a 13-year-old, 14, thinking about that moment, but just now because I'm discovering more of myself, I'm thinking about, okay, but what if when that moment happened, we were both naked, and as children, that's the thing you try to create, and I'm discovering myself, and so I'm trying to like find ways to put myself. And so I'll think about those moments in different version. Imagine me making love, and that was me like in the early teens, right? And then finally in my mid, like when I started hitting 15, finally I was kind of experienced things. Like in high schools, I was, I were dances, I had things with girls, and then my late teen, I had this thing with this older woman, and it was something that kind of always was in my mind in so many ways. And so when I'm in the older teen, when I'm no longer around this older woman, I kept going back to those moments a lot. Like it drastically changed. Like made me think about her. Like I was thinking about her nonstop, and every time I wanted to make myself, I would think about those moments. Now I'm sorry about being super graphic, but the reason why I tell these things is because they restructure reality and memories in different ways. What they've done right now, and I've talked about it before, is when I was thinking about me playing mom and dad when I was like 10, when I was thinking about that around like between 13, 15 or something like that, they're moving that when I'm older, when I'm like 17, 18, and because they want to block out the reality of me thinking about me as a 16-year-old being with somebody who's 10 years older than me, and try to replace the setting of when I was thinking about me playing mom and dad, and putting me in the setting of when I'm thinking about me with this woman that was 10 years older than me, to change things around, to race. So like, you see, how would you be thinking about you when you're just in this late teen? Think about you when you're playing mom and dad, and this was because they want to erase the reality of I was actually thinking about me, 16-year-old, being with somebody 10 years older than me, and changing things around, and try to manipulate memories around, because the reality of me saying this person, let's just say her name is Ari, me thinking about Ari, saying Ari all the time, thinking about what I should have done if during that moment when I experienced this thing with this older woman, what I should have been like. I was in my mid-teens. I should have just known that she wanted this, so I would have done this, right? That's what I was thinking about in my late teens. Thinking about those moments, or even thinking about when I was the dances I had with these girls, and I'll think about that. At that point, I forgot about me thinking about playing mom and dad. At that point, I'm like, I've moved forward, and not thought about these things at this point. But they try to change memories around, reshuffle memories, to put that there, and to change the reality. And so they get annoyed because I'm like, you think I forgot? Let me tell you what exactly I was even thinking about. And I'm here like reacting the thing that I experienced when I was 16, when I was sleeping on the couch, and this older person was on the other couch, try to get my attention. And remember the noise I was hearing. This is the things. Remember the noise, and you hear the noise again because they try to block it. I remember when I was asleep, actually that was that noise I was hearing. That was this older person. And remember that she was trying to get the comforter, and then try to wake me up and try to make me drink. Like This is the reality. And you hear this guy just frustrated. He's like, oh, you're going to scream so bad because he's frustrated that I'm bringing up something he's trying to counter. He's trying to block out this reality. And the rest of my late teens, early 20s, I was thinking about what I should have done and to try to change it. What I should have done and what I should have just known. If I don't know that's what she wanted, I should have prepared myself in these ways and think, that's what I was thinking. But they were like, oh no, you think about when you play mom and dad, not Ari. But it doesn't take much. Once you read once you know what's going on in my brain, you know that I was thinking about Ari all the time. But they try to reshuffle things around to create this pedophilia thing, because what I experienced and what I was thinking about is the opposite. It's like me having something for older women and being drastically changed, not even changed, but thinking about it it really impacted. This is really what I was thinking. I was not thinking about me playing mom and dad with this woman. I was thinking about what I should have done. I should have waited this way when she was trying to get my attention. I should have just, because I didn't know what she was doing, and I was like, and I'm thinking about the things I should have known. So something would have actually happened in another way, right? And when she was trying to do this to me, I should have gone along with this, and they try to change that. And they're like, oh, you're gonna be yelling, gonna be screaming so much. Because you understand what I'm saying. I was a teenager with somebody who was older than me, 10 years older than me. And I was obsessed with this person. And I started thinking about her all the time till I was in my early 20s. And so these people who are trying to frame me in this way, straight now, we analyzed you. Yeah. We, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So that's what they do, is they just restructure you in so many other ways, and to try to make you accept these things. And you hear this childlike individual, oh, women I love. It's so disgusting. They change people and want them to accept this falsified reality. That's why I make videos. Now, the reality is these people work for entities where there's actually pedophiles. While they actually try to raise me being obsessed with a woman that was 10 years older when I was a teenager, they actually work for entities where there's CIA agents that do things to 2-year-old and 6-year-old. And they're trying to restructure your memories to, oh no, you're thinking about mom and dad when you remember that's it. And you're thinking about this woman that was 10 years older than you, and not thinking about how you could have done things differently so something could have happened. And it's like, oh no, yeah, I paid though. He's like, yeah. You see how sad life is? To me, I'm like, I don't think this is unfair. They want me to make me frustrated that this is, oh, it's so not fair. It's like, it's very fair. Because this is what reality you have to live in. Of course, when you do these things, it's just a matter of time to figure out when this thing comes back to you. You're trying to erase me being obsessed about this woman who's 10 years older, because when I was 16 years old, me and this older woman, something, kind of, something almost happened, kind of happened. And I was the kid, and I remember the things that she, tried to get my attention. And then tried to counter that. And I remember when she tried to wake me up. And I remember the noise I was hearing. And on her scar she has. And, and I remember when I was, and they have to block that. I'm okay with that. But I'm not going to let them escape. So when they tell me you're going to scream, you're going to do this, and now you're thinking about, it's like, no, I was thinking about what I should have done. Thinking about I should just be awake like that, pray, I was Ari, But you're trying to change that something else. You're trying to reshuffle things around to block that out. But it's okay. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're bottom feeder. You're going to see me screaming and all that, but man, this life that you're living, my friend, I do not envy that life. Because reality, if somebody truly analyzing me, assessing me, it's like, why was he so obsessed with this woman that was 10 years older? It seems like after her, he could stop thinking about her. Everything about her, what he should have done. It's like, it was all about her, how he should have done this thing. Well, this thing when he was thinking about me is because he didn't experience anything sexual at the time. So the only thing he could go back to something that was close to sexual is when he played mom and dad when he was like about 10 years old. And so until he got some sexual things and started going on dances, and he was like, and then this thing with this older woman, then that's where it was coming in his brain. And then, but yeah, they're just reshuffling things around. And for me, it's just like, I'm not going to let them escape. Now, I understand there's nothing I can do. I'm going to experience the memory the way they want me to experience. This technology rewires even your memories. It changes your memory. It makes you experience things that you didn't experience. It makes you think something you experienced at that time instead of this. Like, everything can be changed. And they've been working on that before. I talked about it before. I remember when I was laughing about it. Now, this is the new way the brain is going now. This is how my memory goes. I've understood this. This is why I record these things. It's frustrating, but it's nothing more frustrating to try to counter what I just said. To try to counter when I was on the couch and this person that was older than me tried to get my attention. When I was hearing what she was doing. When she asked me to go drink. This is more frustrating. And then I'm supposed to look at you and you're going to tell me how I'm going to scream? Trash. So my target individuals, find yourself lucky that you didn't have to do this. They're going to see you suffer and everything like they say, but what kind of life do you think they live? It's funny, one person at 5 in the morning was telling me, oh, I'm so happy. Yeah. Thanks to let me know at 5 in the morning. It's just so obvious because you tell me at this time that you're happy. It's obvious that you are. It's like, try to convince me, what do I care if she's happy or not? And for the fact that somebody is just telling you that, it's usually like, okay, you're just trying to show that you're happy, which means that usually it's not the case. And she tries to use her voice, I'm happy. It's like, yeah, it's 5 in the morning. It's just wow, that's what a happy life. It's so obvious, obviously. But they're just perps. They're bottom feeders. The country, the government has contracted to do these things. I know bad things are gonna happen to me. I understand. I'm a subject, a human subject, and they're trying to change me into something I'm not. So I'd rather suffer and burn in hell than having to live life when I'm supposed to rewire people in these disturbing ways. And work for entities filled with pedophiles when I'm here trying to rewire people's brains and even memories to fit this pedophilia persona that we make other people experience. And being a program that actually tortures children sexually. Add that to it. It's too much. To my target individual, find yourself lucky. This cowardly life is not a life envious living. They can sound so happy via V2K. They can sound very fierce via V2K. You see them in person, you're like, oh wow, stay strong.